Hello, everybody, and welcome back to Pokemon Mystery Dungeons & Dragons: The Lanwell Chronicles. Since it has been a couple of weeks, allow me to give you your session recap from last time. Last time, our party, after hearing about the sudden insurgence of dungeons and stuff like that, they began making their way over towards the one that Renniel's mother is in. But right before they reached right before they entered the dungeon, they had Ricky of the Delvers come over and mention that he and Tarek were about to go to the one at the Oasis, but he warned that the dungeon scanner that the Delvers has was showing some strange things going on in the dungeon, gave them that warning before he continued on to the Oasis. Upon entering into the dungeon, they found themselves split at two ends of a rapid river flowing southwards, and they went up until they reached a point where they needed two keys to proceed, because these keys were apparently made by the same person who makes keys in the Zelda world, so if they used just one, it would break. They searched around for the keys and figured out that they were underwater, but upon grabbing a couple of them, they ended up accosted by a bunch of floatsels, so they had to beat them up. And they moved onward to a central area where a researcher was apparently being trapped by a bunch of these red crystals and some dungeon Pokemon who were keeping him there. The group beat up the dungeon Pokemon and saved the researcher, who seemed to be tired for some reason. I believe they used Dimension Dwarf to do that, or something similar to that, so that was some creative thinking on their part, and...
Vortex warp.
Vortex Warp, yeah, that's it. And they managed to save him. Harold was planning on using Identify on the rocks, but because going too close meant his energy was starting to be drained, he decided to not do that and they destroyed it. The researcher gave them bombs and warned them that in order to access the research facility in general, they needed to activate two water wheels, which were blocked off by random metal and junk and stuff. So they proceeded to the left and right sides of this river, managing to create their own raft on one side and going along just the river on the other side. They rescued another researcher to the east, but to the west there appears to be what would have been a researcher there. However, it was apparently destroyed at some point in time, and the feral Pokemon were all taken out as well, and there was a bunch of burning stuff, though they weren't able to figure out much beyond that, so they went over, they managed to destroy all the blockades, got themselves a bit of treasure, and caused the water wheels to activate, allowing them to enter into the research facility where they met up with two more researchers and Radial's mother, Eve.
Eefy.
Eefy, right, Eefy. Met up with Radial's mother, Eefy, along with the remaining two other researchers, and they all appear to be completely drained of their power, having basically no access to any of their normal Pokemon traits or abilities. But they were soon rescued out, and one of the researchers mentioned that whatever knocked them out was on further on into the facility, so the group decided to walk further on, where they met up with everyone's favorite Fleffel, who they were not particularly happy to meet. But Fleffel told them that this was a result of some sort of experiment from the Purge, and Eugene asked him a very pointed question of what he was doing in Snowsea, and it appears that Fleffel did something involving someone that made Eugene immediately fire a crossbow at him. This did not seem to disturb Fluffle too much, and he decided to seek two strange creatures, one of which appeared to be a muscular mosquito, whereas the other one appeared to be long legged and graceful, and had the group fight those two things. Thanks to some clever thinking, they managed to defeat the two beasts, who, upon being defeated, disappeared into the portal, and Fluffle himself left them through the portal, left them as well. After doing that, they discussed Reniel's Nihilego problem, and they managed to make some sort of means of communication with the Nihilego, but when Harold tried using message on it, it gave him a response in a strange language despite telepathy normally not doing that, and they were they were able to get a bit of basis off of it, but they weren't able to get too much. And that is where we will and that is where we ended off. So I will now give myself luck points.
Eh.
But nah. So yeah, you guys, after doing all that, you escape the river yourselves, and I imagine you're making your way back to Gwaybold.
Uh-huh.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Okay, is there anything in particular you want to talk about on the way, or would you just like to skip all the way over to the town?
We're probably going like on a good brisk pace just because, there was want to call them hostages, that there were victims there, and we probably want to check up on them, so there's probably not much conversation on my side.
Yeah.
Yeah, we're kind of just. We want to get back and see how everything's going.
hmm If we have anything to discuss, it'll be after we check in.
Alright then. So, yeah, you all begin walking your way off towards Gwaybold. Give me a second. Okay, so yeah, you walk there, and you eventually, as you're entering into the town, you see a Luxio who looks towards you guys as you're entering, and he says, "Oh, hey, are you guys the ones sent off to the research camp?"
We are.
Yeah.
Okay, good. All the researchers you rescued are currently in the guild building. I came here. I was sent here to inform you guys that.
Thank you. And Renel's gonna go to the guild building.
I guess we're going there.
Okay. So yeah, you all make your way over to the guild building. It looks fairly normal aside from a couple of Pokemon ended up heading out of it as you guys were walking in. And on the first floor, you see Reniel's father and Reniel's mother are both sort of hugging and cuddling together on the first floor. Seem to be glad to have been reunited. You don't see any of the other researchers, you just see those two on the first floor.
Renel's going to walk up to them.
Okay. As you do, Reniel, they break apart from each other and they notice you. And Aifi, sorry if I mispronounced this name a couple of times, V says to you, "Oh, thank goodness you're still alright." She appears to still be very, very low energy, very winded.
Are you feeling any better at all?
No, I can't say I am. I still feel really drained from what happened in there.
Sorry, my brain stopped. Give me just a second.
Ranialbraid.exe is unavailable at the moment.
I suppose you will simply have to continue to be closely monitored.
Gadriel, not
Gadiel.
sorry. For some reason thinking Gadiel. Gadiel nods and he says, "Yeah, that's what it's looking, and it's looking like that's almost all of them. The ones you rescued early seem to be recovering fairly quickly, but the ones who are in there longer, they haven't seemed to have any signs of recovery yet."
Does anyone recall who put them there?
No, none of us have, Efi says. We remember basically what we told you, that we were, after the dungeon suddenly appeared, we were all just quickly knocked out and nothing else. So far, it doesn't seem to be. So far, nobody else seems to remember anything beyond that.
We have been informed of who could have done this, and rest assured that they will be dealt with.
Alright, just be careful if you're going to do that.
He nods.
What do the two of you plan on doing now?
Gadiel says, "Well, at this point in time, we can't really continue on researching, at least for a bit. Once your mother is recovered, we'll probably go back to trying to find a cure for you, but until then, we're probably just going to be here and recovering."
If I might make a suggestion, you should leave Lanwell, at least for a little while.
They both look at you in shock for a moment, and Gadiel says, "Why?"
There's a great cause for concern here.
And Reynold just kind of looks around to see if there's anyone else in the room.
Um, I mean, your party members are all there,
Well,
but
yeah, besides them. I mean, like,
no, there's nobody else in the room. And in fact, as you're looking around, Aoife says, "If you're looking for the other researchers or the Freelance Guild, they're all currently upstairs. They're all meeting together to discuss what they remember."
Keep this to yourselves, but we have reason to believe that there is a great cataclysm on the way. For your own safety, you should leave.
I think he's right.
They both seem a little shocked by this, and they don't seem to be disbelieving. They don't seem to be disbelieving in what you said or anything. Just a little shocked. And Gadiel says, "In that case, Reniel, you should come with us." If
I
the,
cannot do that.
Aoife says, "Reniel, please, if you believe there's some danger coming here, then you should come with us."
I cannot. I must stay here and deal with it.
But you shouldn't have to.
Perhaps not. but I may as well.
Reniel, I know after the accident that things have been difficult, but we're still your family. You shouldn't have to go off on your own to deal with whatever burden you have. If we're to leave, we should all leave together.
Reniel doesn't really have a response for that.
If I may interject, you said you're looking for a cure for Reniel. Inside that dungeon, we were able to communicate with the the being currently inside him, and while our means of communication are limited through binary answers, it didn't seem to be malicious.
This seems to genuinely shock Yeleni. Says, "What? They, when those creatures appeared, they all attacked us."
I mean, the one currently inside your son.
Mm, I see.
And I don't know. I thought that might be a new way to approach it.
Well, if it's not malicious, then that is interesting, but I suppose it does give us some things to think of. Is it possible for it to just leave?
I don't think so.
Hmm.
I mean, we could try and ask.
uh, I guess Reniel will just have one of the arms come out.
Okay, this is kind of the way. It's a little weird, so bear with it. Uh, Nihiligo, if you can just leave Reniel's body, raise the tentacle up once, and twice if no.
It raises its tentacle twice.
Yeah, it says it can't. Would you be willing to separate with Reniel if we found a way?
It seems hesitant, and it doesn't really. Like, you could see it sort of wants to raise up, but it doesn't end up doing so. It seems to just, like, almost halfway lift up, but then lowers itself back down again.
But you see what I mean just by that. It it's clearly sentient.
Maybe it thinks I'm comfy.
Yeah.
We don't know what's going to happen to it if it gets separated from you.
Let's see. Well, maybe with knowing that with a researcher we can perhaps find some way of separating it in a way that won't harm either of you. We'll have to keep looking. Though that also means we will more than likely be unable to leave Lanwell unless we can find some information, unless we could be assured we could find some information about this elsewhere.
Perhaps there is other information out there in the world that you would be able to find if you would leave Lanwell.
Well, that is certainly true, but and if he chimes in and she says, "We don't want to just leave you behind."
I insist. It is for your safety.
Reniel, you see that she wants to lift up a ribbon to caress you with it, but she just can't muster up any strength to do anything with her ribbons, and they still remain limp.
Let's see here.
Well, I suppose ultimately it's everybody's choice what they want to do.
I may say something again, but the fact Reniel wants you to get out of Lanwell means he wants to protect you. And I think that throws some preconceived notions about him out the door.
Reniel
So,
just kind of looks at the ground when Eugene says this.
so maybe try and respect what he wants to do. And I know you two probably care for him, but he cares for you, I think. And yeah, don't mind me.
Gadiel, he seems silent for a moment, and so does Aifi. They both look to each other, and Gadiel eventually says, "Alright, suppose we'll head to Steelport and see what we can do about finding passage to another continent, but we don't plan on leaving forever. We will come back eventually."
We'll see to it that that's a possibility.
Yes. Once all is over and done with, I or one of my teammates will let you know when it is safe to return.
Okay, and we'll continue finding what information we can even when we leave. But Raniel, please, stay safe.
I will do my best.
They both sort of nod and they look to each other. As of right now, it doesn't appear they have much else to talk about. They seem to sort of just be sort of contemplating with each other. Seem to be also slightly saddened as well, but it's basically all they have to say for now.
Reniel looks at the others and he says,
Could the rest of you please leave for a moment? I have a very personal request to make of them.
Of course.
Yeah, I don't know what the room we're in looks like, but
It's just basically a similar entryway to the one you're used to. So like you've got the reception desk was empty, but you've got the reception desk. There's the doors leading into the guild itself, into the kitchen meeting room area, or not kitchen, the dining room meeting room area, and otherwise there's the door to the outside.
I guess we'll kind of go deeper into the guild, maybe into like the meeting room.
Okay. Is that what you're all doing?
Yeah.
Since I mean, we're probably not going to immediately head out after this. So
yeah, Reniel will just call you back when he's done. Or rather, he'll probably find you.
all right.
Okay. So yeah, you all head off, and Randall, you are alone with your parents.
He looks at them and he says,
When you leave Lanwell, you should consider having another child.
They're both silent for a moment, and Gadiel says, "What? Why?"
Reniel sits there for a moment like he's thinking of some other way to put this, but he can't really come up with any other way, and he says,
Koritha's bloodline should not have to end with me, and neither should yours. In the event that I do not make it out of this, if I should die, I want a sibling to carry on your name.
Raniel, please. I
know it is not pleasant to hear, but it's something that you would find out sooner or later.
Gadiel thinks for a moment. He says, "We can't. For now, we can't make any promises. Your mother still has to recover after all, if recovery is even possible from whatever happened.
Naturally,
But we'll think about it and discuss it later."
that is all I ask. I will leave you to rest now.
and he's gonna start heading back to the others.
Okay. As you pass by, you can tell that both of them are really sad from everything that's happened, and you see Aifi sort of bury her face in Gadiel. You imagine she's probably crying.
Mm-hmm.
But you eventually open the door, and there you see all of your friends, well, all of your allies, wherever you want to call them, your teammates in the meeting room. And you all see Randall walking in as well.
I guess the the few minutes or moments he's gone, I say to the rest of the team, we should probably check on the who came back from the other areas too to see what went on there. I'm probably guessing the same thing, but
Likely. I also think we have a reasonably good idea of what did happen, but any additional information could help.
we haven't seen the leader anywhere, Shad, right?
You have not seen Shad yet, no. Anyways, so yeah. Oh, sorry. You gonna? Do you still have more to say while Randall's gone?
Um, I guess I ask the other two, do you want to stay around here and look for them, or do you want to? There's a few other places we should probably go to.
We should make sure everybody made it back.
Mm-hmm.
That sounds. That's. I would agree with that.
Okay.
Okay, so yeah. Then you see Randall coming in.
We'll tell him that we're gonna check on everyone else, and I guess we're gonna wander around the guild and ask the first person we see, like just where everyone is.
Okay, well, luckily for you, as you were making your way upstairs and heading towards the second floor, you see the Medicham Sheik walking back down. And as he sees you, he says, "Oh, good, you're all here. Good to see you're all in one piece."
Do you have any updates of what happened with everyone? Was everyone okay?
Yeah. So far, all the researchers that you found were accounted for, though, according to them, they're missing one Pokemon. Did you guys happen to see a Liepard anywhere?
We did not.
No, I'm afraid not.
Hmm. Okay. That's odd, but everyone else
Was
has made it back.
this Liepard a researcher?
Yes. He was among, according to the rest of them, he was among the group that was investigating that laboratory you guys were sent to on the Dwyneth River. His name is Apollo, and he was not among the ones who went back. So who came back? They all basically waited at the entrance until they were basically all accounted for. But after a while, they began making their way back over here.
There was one area in that mystery dungeon where, uh, um, have we explained to them like kind of what we saw and how the red crystals were kind of like hypnotizing them in place and stuff?
You have not, but you imagine he probably is because he's been interviewing them, or at least was. You can imagine he's probably aware, though you could always
Yeah.
ask him.
Yeah, I say, are you aware of the state of everyone we found?
Yeah, Shad
There
and
was
I
one.
and a bunch of the Ledrithian Guild members. We've been talking with them since you guys brought him back.
There was one area that seemed to be saved, but all the dungeon Pokemon were knocked out. The red crystal was smashed, but there was no one there, and we didn't do that.
Hmm. That's odd.
So, but putting two and two together, this Apollo might have been there.
That's what it sounds like as well. It's odd though. From what we've been told, Apollo isn't too terribly strong. So wonder if someone heard of him and rescued only him, or if something else happened. Fortunately, since Apollo's not there, we can't really know exactly what happened, at least as of right now. Not until we eventually find Apollo, wherever he might be, assuming he is somewhere, and ask him.
Yeah. Is Shad in any condition to speak?
He's fairly tired. He went straight from dealing with everything in the Lake of Magic to coming back and having to interview all these Pokemon, take their statement, and figure things out, but I can at least send him a message that you guys want to speak. Well, I can at least tell him you guys want to speak with him and inform you when he's a bit more ready for you.
Yeah, it's sort of the reason why we initially came here, but I suppose we can wait.
Yeah, sorry about that. It's been a busy day and we're still waiting on a message from the explorers who went to the oasis to rescue the Pokemon there as well. It's probably going to be a massive thing as well. Did you guys discover anything about the mystery dungeon yourselves? Or is that information you only plan to share with Shad?
I think we're only going to share it with Shad.
Alright. I understand that. Leader's ears only. Alright, I'll pass on the message to him and we'll be sure to inform you when he's available.
Mm-hmm.
You guys are free to hang around here if you want. Most of the researchers are currently either resting or in interviews, so you can't really talk with any of them, but you're free to take a room here and rest if you want, or free to go about in the city as you want. I'll leave that up to you guys.
Well, unless anyone else wants to do anything here, I think we've got a few more things on our plate, like that crime scene, and we promised to talk to some people. And
Alright, the crime. She sort of chuckles a little and he says, I'm in all the rush, I honestly almost forgot about that. Did you discover anything important there?
um, well, I'll let my colleagues maybe explain that.
Going back 3 weeks here. Hang on, give me just a second.
Technically 5.
Yep, that's all these notes. We're
Did you know anything about Elizabeth's interactions with Fluffwool?
No. Unfortunately, we weren't even where they were interacting until the scene of the crime happened. We thought Elizabeth had closed herself off and did some research. And was doing some research. We were aware about that, but we weren't aware Fluffle was there. If we did, we probably would have sent some members over there to apprehend him for questioning about his various other crimes.
Well, we determined that the journal left on in her front room was a fake, and it was planted there by somebody else.
Mm. That's unfortunate, but we probably shouldn't have. We probably should have expected that. Fluffle likely did that himself. That means he was attempting to cover up something or other then.
It also means that the journal that was found may be dangerous. We have already informed my father so that he does not act on any of the formulas that he has been researching.
Alright. Since what happened, your father brought the journal along with him, so we'll merely retrieve it for now and still do a bit of research, but we'll make sure not to do anything or attempt to replicate any of the formulas in the research in the journal for anything. At least not until we're completely certain what they might be doing.
Well, we have a pretty good idea of what she was trying to do.
You do?
We believe that Elizabeth attempted to bring an Ultra Beast into this world. And more than likely, she succeeded.
Ultra Beast? You mean like the ones that caused... He looks Tyrannial and he's kinda like...
Precisely.
Oh, you know about that. Okay.
That, more than likely, is what killed her.
Assuming she is dead.
Wait, what do you mean assuming she's dead? We had her corpse.
Presumably. No positive identification was made.
there is a bit of a thought that maybe she didn't die and the body there is someone else's.
You mean Fluffle attempted to fake a body?
It's like
That
the
is
journal.
the idea, but we have no way to confirm this. Not yet, anyway.
I see. Thank you for informing me. If you come up with anything else in your investigation, feel free to either tell me or Shad whenever you meet with him, and I'll pass this information on to him as well.
Understood.
He nods and he begins making his way back upstairs again. And you guys are still there on the staircase for now.
Yeah. I believe we have other places to be.
Yeah.
Okay.
Harold is going to go to report in with the Delvers.
Yep. Figured about as much. Everyone else?
Raniel's going too.
Yeah, I guess so. We're just gonna follow each other.
Alright.
Assuming that Harold is fine with bringing us along.
Yeah, it was before.
Alright, so you all begin making your way over towards the west side, where... Oh, I just thought of West Side Story. Let me kill that thought in my brain. You begin making your way to 9 o'clock. There, that's better. And to the alleyway where you previously were all meeting with the Delvers. And as you're going there, what's everyone's passive perception?
11.
Oh,
Uh,
mine's absurdly high. I do have my sheet. It's on right here.
dear.
Let's see. What's my
Mine-
perception?
Minus
So mine's-
14.
Mine's 19.
I don't actually have my sheet. Hold up.
I'm pretty sure it's a negative modifier for you guys, unless you have proficiency in it.
Would be neutral for him if his wisdom is correct on my overlay.
Wisdom's is 0. Perception's proficiency though. So
It's basically 10 plus your perception.
Okay, so then your passive is 13.
okay, yeah.
Okay, so 19 is basically the highest then, correct?
Yeah.
Okay, then. Alright, interesting. Alright. Okay, so yep, you all continue walking towards the Delvers. And you do the same old. You use Harold's badge, and you enter on into the Delver's laboratory basement area. As you enter there, you see, let me pull up this. Yeah, you see, basically everyone is there. You see Christelle, Robert, Ave, and even see Tarek and Ricky are both there as well. As you see him, Ricky sees you guys coming in, and he nods and he says, "Ah, good. I was worried about you, but when I heard that the researchers were all brought to safety, I had hoped you guys managed to make it out yourselves."
We did, thankfully. And we have new insight about Fluffle's objectives.
Christelle nods to you and she says, "I was just about to ask that. What exactly happened in there, and can you give me a report?"
Well, you're aware of what happened to Reniel, how an Ultra Beast merged with him and seems to be taking over his identity. It seems that something similar has happened to Fluffwool. I assume, in his case, the beast that took over is far more powerful, but as you are aware, the beasts cannot exist in this world outside of dungeons. Therefore, that is their objective, to see to it that this entire continent becomes one giant dungeon that they then intend to take over.
This, as you can imagine, has a large reaction of shock and disgust across pretty much everyone in the guild.
The Delvers.
Yeah, sorry. Well, I mean, it is the Delvers Guild,
The
but
organization.
yeah, the organization. And Christelle says, "Are you sure about that?"
Assuming Fluffle was telling the truth, yes.
He also mentioned he planned on doing this with something called the Wayland Tree, which we read about.
The Weirden Tree.
Weirden, yeah. Weird.
He was going to destroy it.
Destroy the Weirden Tree. So he believes that it actually exists then?
So it would seem. Obviously, all of this is predicated on the assumption that
He's telling the truth,
he is
yes.
speaking truthfully to us, but something about his demeanor. Almost like he didn't care if we knew his plans because he was so confident they were going to succeed.
For now, especially with the danger it suggests, we will have to take his word at face value, and we'll need to prepare immediately. We do have good news for you, at least. The crystals are all charged and ready if you still intend to place them in order to expand our radars.
That's good, at least.
And we even have the areas where you need to do so. She walks up to you, and what she does is she hands you a map of Lanwell. However, you see several red markers are displayed on it. And let me give you that in there. Let me do this for the chat. And she says, Tara and Ricky are also willing to help with this as well, and especially knowing now what Fluffle is planning on doing, this may be very much important to do. There are 3 markers that need to be placed in Caldwelch and 3 markers that need to be placed in Arian. You can decide to go region by region or decide to go place to place. It is up to you, but to give you specifics, in Caldwelch, the place we believe is best to put it is in White Town, within the old castle that's been repurposed as a museum. They'll likely not allow you to place this random red rock there, so you may need to either sneak it in or do whatever you can to get it inside there.
How sensitive is this process? Surely we could place it somewhere in the museum's vicinity.
We believe it should be there for optimal range in any case. Perhaps putting it in around the museum would work, but it may not cover absolutely everywhere. If you want to just put it near the museum or perhaps in the waterways around White Town and hide it there, then it should work. But there may be a few spots that we are unable to notice. This is just the optimal areas. But in any case, White Town is where the first one in Caldwelch goes. Otherwise, at the end of a small ravine you see here in the Great Lanwell Forest, there is another place to put the marker. Again, the place we're showing you is not perhaps the exact area, but it should be a good spot. And as for the third area, unfortunately, in order to attune it, it needs to be placed inside a mystery dungeon, and the one we believe best is a mystery dungeon in the northern desert known as the Ancient Dunes. It seems to be an old castle ruins that the old king of Caldwelch used as his final bastion before his inevitable loss during the Great Lanwell War. As for Arian, the one of them needs to be inside a large warehouse in Steelport City. Again, you need not necessarily put it directly in the warehouse. If you could find another hiding spot, you may do so, though it may affect the range slightly. Otherwise, there's an icy lake north of north of Snow Sea. It's normally icy, but this time of year there should be enough water for you to place it at the bottom. And finally, there's a mystery dungeon there in the mountains called Blackrock Mountain Mystery Dungeon, and that is where the third one needs to be placed.
What was that last mystery dungeon one?
Blackrock Mountain Mystery Dungeon. And I'll get you the, I'll get you, all of that into the, right here.
Thank you.
These are what we believe to be the best spots to place it so that we can make sure as much, if not all, of Lanwell is scanned.
Is placing the crystals inside dungeons optimal? Wouldn't the properties of the distortion alter its detection range?
It shouldn't. We actually have a crystal down in the Lake of Magic itself, and that's instrumental in making sure that we can detect distortions across Ledrith. In fact, the Mystery Dungeon ones are instrumental in making sure that it works. Its distortions are unfortunate, but are allies, though we do admit that asking you to put these in mystery dungeons is very much an ask. If you would prefer Tarek and Ricky to do that, they may do so themselves, so you may avoid those.
I think our approach should be to work out where we personally need to go and place crystals that are near other objectives we have.
I was about to suggest that myself. Obviously, these crystals, it would be easiest with your position in the Freelance Guild if you were able to place crystals where the Freelance Guild themselves would ask you to go. So more than likely, you would end up doing the ones in Caldwell, since your base is currently there as well. But otherwise, the Freelance Guild themselves will likely direct you where, or you will likely have to ask them to help direct you where is best to search.
We might be able to use the guild's name to get into the museum.
Certainly a possibility.
All right, everyone, what's our next course of action?
Well, I don't think we can just say we're going to these places while we're in the guild. So, are we going to try and suggest it, or are we just going to wait for them to, by coincidence, send us to near places like those?
That'll take too long. We need this network up and running as soon as possible.
This is all over the continent, and I don't think we're going to do this in like a day or even a week.
We
Even a
don't need
month.
to do all of these.
Indeed, as I said, we plan to send Tarek and Ricky to place ones in areas where you guys are either unable to or unwilling to go through. 3 and 3 should certainly make things a lot easier for both you guys and to get it up as soon as possible.
Well, White Town's pretty close to the guild itself, so I think we should do that.
As much as I hate to say it, it makes the most sense for us to deliver 2 of them to the mystery dungeons. Given what has just happened. Given what just happened here, we could volunteer ourselves to go investigate the 2 other mystery dungeons under the guise that we will be searching for whatever it is that Shad encountered in the Lake of Magic, and plant the crystals when we go to investigate.
We can certainly go to Black Rock Mountain. It's practically on our way back to Misty Gales.
So I think at the very least we can do that one in White Town Museum.
We would likely pass through White Town on the way to the ancient dunes.
We went to Steelport, right?
You have not been to Steelport, no.
Oh, okay.
I mean, you yourself might have, because it's nearby to your hometown, so you might have been there on like business meetings or with your parents and stuff like that, though. I imagine you probably would have been a little recluse there while you're there, but you would have a decent idea of the layout in any case. But otherwise, the rest of you guys have not.
I was just thinking that's where we went when we got on the ship.
Oh, no, that was a different port.
How precisely does the crystal in Lake Widira need to be placed? Could it simply be dropped in?
More than likely, yes. We believe it just merely needs to be at the bottom. Though it is covered by ice most of the year, so you'll need to crack the ice first and then make sure it gets to the bottom, but otherwise it just merely needs to be at the bottom. Though we will also mention it should not be. Don't believe there's been any reports, but if any mystery dungeons appear in any of the places that currently aren't, then we may need to decide a new place to put it. since putting one in distortion is what allows it to work, but if two of them are in distortions, then it will cause it to start messing things up. But these current areas should not be mystery dungeon areas, so they should be fine.
If we can go to investigate the desert, that can be where we place our third crystal.
So you intend to do Black Rock, White Town, and the desert then?
Reniel nods.
Very well. Tarek, Ricky, then you two are in charge of Steelport and the bottom of the ravine and the lake. And they both nod. Tarek says, "Be careful there, Harold. You know how dangerous those distortions are. I don't envy you guys heading to two of them."
I don't either. Before I go, Harold pulls out the sword. You were the one who found this, right?
Yeah, I did. How's it been? It's a pretty strange thing.
It's helped me immensely, actually.
Really now.
Do you know anything about it? Where it came from, or frankly, anything?
I do, actually. It's funny that you're heading to the ancient dunes, cause it was when I was doing a rescue mission there for the Delvers when I found that thing.
Hmm. Do you know anything about the person inside it?
She and I spoke a bit when I held the weapon, but we didn't end up talking too much, cause getting a talking sword in a mystery dungeon isn't exactly something I want to be holding on for too long, but we did chat a bit. I figured out she's someone of power, but beyond that, I wasn't able to get much more.
I see. There's nothing else. I think it would probably be best if we left to reduce the odds of anybody tracing us to this location.
I do have one question though. Why is there animosity between you and the Freelance Guild?
That. It's a long story, but each of us have our own particular reasons, but as we said before, we believe the Freelance Guild is. Many of us believe it to be corrupt, others believe they are opportunistic and tempting to use the mystery dungeons that have appeared for their own gains. Individually, many of us, there are a few of us who were either formerly or had loved ones who were in the Freelance Guild, and they are no more, shall we say.
Well, I'm sorry about that. But we were warned about you guys, and basically, from what you've told me, it should be nothing but just hearsay. So why are they warning us about you?
That is odd, actually.
They actually seemed concerned that we attacked.
Christelle, her eyes widen and she says, "That shouldn't be. We have not attacked a single member of the Freelance Guild."
That's why I brought up the question. It just seems really odd why they would warn us about you. And it seems to go against your MO.
Who warned you about us?
Freelance Guild and Misty Gale's the leaders.
Specifically Thornton.
I wonder. I cannot say for certain myself. Perhaps perhaps your leader intended to merely sully our name for no reason, or perhaps there's something deeper that none of us know. But I can assure you that we have not attempted to attack any members of your guild. We operate on our own scale, and honestly, attacking the Freelance Guild in our position is foolhardy at best and suicide at worst. We intend to find out information and proof to their opportunistic ways, but we otherwise have no intention of harming anyone who is affiliated, especially since many of those who are part of the guild are, well, not necessarily brainwashed, but are led in by their glory speaking. They are not the ones who we are against, so to speak, so the random members of the guild themselves we should have nothing against.
I thought I'd just ask. But I think Harold's right. We shouldn't dwell here.
Actually, I did remember one thing. We made contact with the Nihiligo that infected Reniel. And it seems as though it, to at least some extent, is willing to cooperate with trying to separate itself from him. It doesn't have the ability to do so on its own.
That's... Everyone seems a little shocked by the news, but she nods and she says, "Well, that is strange, but if it is willing to separate itself, then that does make certain things easier. If you or we find a means of separation, one that the Neil Ego seems to agree with, then perhaps something or other can be... Perhaps we can find some way of helping your friend out."
I attempted to establish telepathic contact with it myself, but there was some sort of feedback. Dasara, do you think you could try speaking with it?
Desra looks to you and then looks to Raniel, and she says, "I could certainly try. Would you allow me to, Raniel?"
He nods, and one of the arms comes out.
Okay. Dasra approaches you. She closes her eyes, and she seems silent for a moment. But after that moment, she opens it up, and one of her arm gooey things that Raniculuses have comes to her head and she says, I see what you mean, Harold. That was strange. It's odd that this happens. Normally, telepathic communication shouldn't be like this.
It is interesting that any of you get anything at all.
What do you mean?
Whenever I try to communicate with it, I get nothing.
That is odd. Do you believe there's a reason? Do you believe it's unable to or unwilling to speak with you?
Well, there most certainly is a reason, otherwise it would not be happening that way. As to why, I cannot say I know. Perhaps there is some sort of neurological interference.
I could see that, yeah. I could attempt to help connect your mind so that you may be able to speak it, but it will take quite a bit of time, and as you guys said, you should potentially leave sometime soon before anything happens, but we do travel, so if you're willing, sometime soon, I might approach you and try helping bridge the gap between you and the Neil Ego, see if you might be able to communicate with it yourself. Since you
I would be willing to do so.
Okay. Though, do note, what I would be attempting to do is, by and large, an untested, unattempted before thing. I'll keep an eye on you, and if at any point in time you're experiencing extreme pain that you cannot handle, just tell me.
He nods.
Alright. Then I shall approach you at some point in time, and we shall do that. Dres... she looks to you, Dresna does, and There! I'm bad with names today. She looks to you, Harold, and she says, be sure to inform Ricky of your movements. That way it'll be easier for me to find you guys and approach as well. And she goes back, and Christelle says, is that all you wish to talk about?
I believe so.
I should point out, too, we've uncovered a few things that some people might not like. So I don't know if we're being tailed by someone or watched, but I'd be careful.
I see. Very well. If you think so, then be very careful when you're leaving and try and see if you can spot anything.
Mm-hmm.
And we'll be careful ourselves. We do have some plans if we end up being discovered. So you don't have to worry about that. But it would be very difficult if we needed to. But with that, I wish you all luck in your endeavors, and we shall make sure the other 3 crystals are planted as soon as we are able to.
Right.
Did they give the crystals to someone already?
Oh, right. Thanks for reminding me. Christelle nods to Ave, and the Ninetales walks over and hands 3 of you the crystals. I'll let you guys decide who gets them. Or if you want to just have everyone, or have one person have all 3.
wants them.
Of course.
Of course.
Are you guys gonna give all 3 to them to Reniel then?
If he wants them.
I mean, he's gonna take care of them.
I mean, he certainly has his collection.
Fair enough. Okay, Reniel,
Just make sure you don't get him mixed up with any of your others.
I will not.
One more thing. I get that brown dust I found at the crime scene and say, could you maybe investigate? Or I guess there's someone else I could probably ask about this. Never mind.
Okay. I mean, we certainly could, but brown dust isn't exactly our specialty.
Yeah.
All right. Good luck, everyone.
I guess we leave.
Okay.
Going to be very cautious and observant on the way out.
Yeah.
Yeah, Renul's actually, before they actually leave, Renul's going to cast invisibility on Eugene and have him scout forward to make sure someone isn't like laying in wait.
Okay. How is the exit to this?
It's basically a small doorway that leads into the alleyway.
Wait, hold on. I don't think Renul can do that. We haven't had time to recover from the mystery dungeon, right?
Oh, no, you have not.
Okay, give me just a second here. Actually, he can do that. He's just going to meta magic some. Okay, so he is going to make Eugene invisible.
I don't have enough spell slots, then I'll just have to make some spell slots.
I just realized I have like 5, or no, I have like 21 with the temporary ones.
Yeah, you guys are pretty beaten.
Yep.
Alright, so you're scouting ahead then, invisible?
Yeah, just looking around the corners, looking on the rooftops, behind any like suspicious garbage cans and.
Alright, then give me a perception check.
No, not at D20! Exclamation mark D20. 20.
Oh, God!
20.
Nice first roll. Okay, so as you walk out invisible, you see, strangely enough, it's been forever, so you might take a moment to recognize them, but hanging out in the shadows of this alleyway, you see that Finlay of the freelance, one of your fellow trainees in the Misty Gales training branch. Finlay is over there, and he's keeping an eye on the entrance.
Crap. Okay. So if I put down objects while I'm invisible, do they become visible again, or do they stay invisible?
I believe if you place an object down, it becomes visible.
Okay. Let me. So can I go back in?
Yeah, the entrance is still open.
All right. I'm gonna go back in, and I'm gonna say, Finlay's out there. I think he saw us go in.
Well, this is a problem.
Okay. I think there's a way out of this.
I'm open to any suggestions.
Deception is the art of war. Maybe if we tell the Delvers we gotta act like we're busting them, we can get out of this. They just have to escape. Tell them to knock us out.
I don't know if we need to do anything that dramatic.
Perhaps there is an alternative exit.
There's no way this is the only way in here. Actually, do I know of any other exits/entrances to this place?
You do know that there is a passageway further on that they use for emergencies. So there is another exit. It will take you fairly close to the Lake of Magic. It'll take you northward. Not close enough to enter the mystery dungeon, but you'll be like right at its shore, sorta.
There's another way out of here. Let's just avoid him.
Problem is like, what does he know? We're gonna see him again no matter what.
And if he
How
saw
far
us go
was he?
in,
How far was he from the entrance?
How far was he from the entrance?
30 feet.
Okay, so he's relatively close in D&D, the D&D world.
Yeah. He's fairly far away in terms of, like, logic, but since this is D&D, he is fairly close.
If we could improvise some other reason why we were here.
Yeah, that's why I suggested that one.
The problem is that exposes them.
Well, they could use the escape.
Look, he may not even know what this place is. It could just be some location he saw us entering.
He is going to investigate it, though. Is there, like, equipment here, or is there stuff set up? And
Oh, no, this room itself is very... It looks to be just like a broken down, no longer used room. Like, it isn't until you use the,
Oh, that's right.
right, it's a hidden room inside a hidden room.
Yeah.
I mean, like, inside their actual headquarters, is there equipment and stuff down there?
Yes, inside their actual headquarters, there's a bunch of equipment and stuff down there. This room itself is just like a broken down old living room. Dusty, barely used, stuff like that.
We should tell them whatever the case.
Yeah, they need to know about this.
Yeah. He didn't see me, to say at the very least.
Right.
I guess we'll go back down.
Do I know, have there been any, like in my training or instruction or anything, like cover stories we typically use for being around here that are commonly used?
Okay, well, let me look something up real quick. You would know that there are a couple of things. There, first off, with your association with the Freelance Guild, one argument could be that you were attempting to trace an outlaw and thought they came in here, but after investigating the place, you couldn't find them and are going to proceed onward. So that's one cover story that they suggested that you could use with the freelance, your position. Otherwise, the Delvers do occasionally have, like, using it as sort of just a normal broken down office that they can basically use for free since nobody's gonna ever use it again. So just pretend this room is just a normal office. And basically the point of, through your training, the point of this room is just to act as a cover. To act as just something that isn't that suspicious, something that's just broken down and might be used for free or used for something quick just to meet and then move on. So those are various cover stories you've heard about in your training.
Renyel,
He
how
looks at
uncomfortable are you with the idea of Finley learning about what happened to you?
He looks down for a moment and he says,
If it gets the Delvers out of this situation, then he may find out.
My suggestion is that we claim you had something, you didn't know what, occur while we were at the Dwyneth River, and needed something done about it immediately. Shad was too preoccupied, so we came here to meet with a psychic to try to address the situation.
one second. Gotta find her name.
If need be, we could have Dasara come up here to
Yeah, I was just about to say,
verify the story.
Yeah, that's what Renial was gonna suggest. I just couldn't think of her name.
yeah, Desera.
Renial agrees to this plan.
So we'll go back down, basically explain the situation and our proposal for how to deal with it.
Okay. To expedite things, the fact that he's there definitely has led to a lot of nervous reactions, but Dasser agrees to try out this plan and hopes that it will work and make Finley end off their trail, so she agrees to the plan.
Okay. I am going to use my last second level spell slot and cast Enhance Ability on myself to gain advantage on charisma checks.
Alright. Gee, I wonder why you're doing that.
I'm still invisible. Do we want to use this, or do I want to go out with you?
He probably saw you going in with us, so you should probably come out with us.
Yeah, alright. So I'll,
Yeah,
uninvisible.
Renial drops invisibility.
Okay. Alright. So you're all gonna walk out with Dressia?
My idea for this is sort of, we know he's there, but we could pretend to have a discussion like as if we don't know he's there.
Yeah, we can do that.
That's another art of war, is pretend you're stupid when you're smart.
Alright. I suppose on my end, I could be potentially scheduling a follow-up with you, since I intend to do so anyways.
Right.
Okay, so that's what we'll do when we're walking out. Beyond that, I'm a little nervous in these types of situations, so I'll let you guys do the talking.
Understandable.
Okay. So, you all walk out with her walking out with you and sort of talking about it, talk about when to next meet you, stuff like that, and as you're walking out, you eventually, the door closes behind you and you turn the corner, and at that point in time, it's basically impossible to pretend. Well, actually, no, Finley is in the shadows, but at that point in time, you see Finlay walk out from the shadows still keeping his distance from you, but he looks to you guys and he says, "Hey, what are you guys doing over there?" He doesn't.
Finley, didn't expect to see you here. Is
Yeah,
everything all right?
yeah, everything's more or less all right. We heard about the all the stuff happening here from all the stuff happening here, and I sat down here to sort of help keep an eye on things. Get a message from Shad since he was into post and all that stuff. And when I came down here, I saw you guys all sneaking around. What are you up to?
Well, it's a bit of a delicate situation.
Should we tell him?
Tell
We
me.
probably should. I suppose he has a right to know, if that's okay with you, Renyel.
Reniel makes a quiet sigh, and then he's going to. Well, I guess Finlay's already seen the tentacles at this point, so he's just gonna have them come out and wiggle around.
We were seeing a psychic to see if we could get in contact with this.
You needed a psychic to contact your tentacles?
Yes, it does not speak, so to speak.
I mean, I guess so. And he does notice that you do have a psychic there, but he's just sort of like, huh? He's,
There's another entity that, well, I don't know if it's literal or metaphorical, but there's some sort of creature that has infected Renyel, I suppose is the best way to put it.
yes, and they came to me because I happen to be a psychic, and they asked me to sort of see if I could help with the situation, help them come to an understanding of what it may be.
She's an old friend of mine from when I worked in here before joining up with the Freelance Guild. We knew that, well, you yourself know how busy Shad is.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, Shad's being busy is the reason I came here, so I guess that checks out.
We were supposed to talk to him about Renyel's condition, but, well, I'm guessing you heard what happened.
Yeah, that was a massive pain. He looks at you guys and suppose one of you roll deception or persuasion.
On it.
Reniel's going to meta magic a few more points, or a few first level spell slots into sorcery points, and then manufacture another second level spell slot, and he's just going to start reading Finlay's mind.
See if
Okay.
he's sus.
Let's see here. Okay, that is going to be a 24 on deception.
Okay. All right. So Finlay, he seems a little confused, and you're getting this through his mind reading, but ultimately, he doesn't seem like he was disbelieving you. He was previously suspicious on you, but your story seems to be strange, but it seems to be checking out for him, so he's like, yeah, okay. Well, sorry about that. Alright. How
You
was
could
it?
maybe not spread around what's going on here too much.
Yeah, I getcha. I getcha. How'd the therapy mind thingy go?
Harold turns to Renyel. There's been some progress.
Most of the
Probably-
questions we have asked it have been binary in nature, as that seems to be the only way we can communicate with it.
Yes, so then I intend on further looking into it at a later point in time when our schedules and more specifically their schedules, since I know they're busy, when they come together, I plan to look into it a bit more myself as well.
Why were you following us anyway?
Well, you guys were walking down a back alley. I don't know. I just thought you were up to something suspicious or something. I mean, what, do you guys normally like to walk into back alleys?
Well, the fastest way to X is diagonal, right? Going through alleys is faster.
Oh, yes.
Well, we could just go out down the streets, and we'd have to go around corners. And...
Harold very, very conspicuously whispers to Eugene, so that Finley will definitely be able to hear. Oh no, I think he's on to us. He's found out about our black market dealings.
He sort of stutters for a second.
And
It's a joke.
Reniel is still reading his mind too. Is like anything popping up because of that?
Yeah, so when he says that, Finlay's mind is like, wait, are they serious? And then he's like, I wonder how much I'd get if I busted the black market deal.
It was a joke.
Ow. Ow. Well,
You know.
you don't. We're the Freelance Guild. We shouldn't joke about that kind of stuff, you know?
He does have a point.
The point is, it's just I don't know. Do you normally just stalk other members like that? 'Cause I don't really feel comfortable with you doing that.
I mean, it's just, you
He
know,
was curious about where we were going. It's natural enough to want to follow, I suppose.
yeah. I mean, I'm sorry. I didn't mean to get in on your business or anything. I was just a little curious. That was kind of odd.
Anyway, I think we're drawing this out and making it a lot more awkward than it needs to be.
Yeah. You guys, you guys keep doing what you're doing. I'm probably going to be heading back to the guild pretty soon myself. Gotta report back to Thornton and Raven and all that stuff. And he seems, from your mind reading, he seems kind of like, dang, they've got a point. I should be more careful next time I follow them. But he's also like, I also probably shouldn't get involved in any of the weird random business they do anymore as well. So he says, alrighty then. See you back when you guys get back to the guild.
Very
We'll
well.
probably head back before too long ourselves.
I wanted to pick up that book those two were reading the other day from the university.
Do not lose your badge again, Finlay.
Hey, that guy looked totally legit, I swear. And before he gets more embarrassed, he sort of starts running off. You
Okay.
get from what you read of his mind that he doesn't seem like he's gonna report you or anything like that. He does seem a little, what the heck did I walk into? But you imagine that he's probably just gonna let you guys do you.
Reniel turns to everyone else and says,
He's very weirded out by what happened, but I think we got away with it.
Good.
Yeah, that's good to hear. Though him knowing does mean, even if he does believe this is just a meeting spot, we'll definitely have to be careful. I'll have to go back and inform Krista about this. And we'll have to be careful coming and going. You guys be sure to do so as well.
Right. I'm a little worried about our meeting with Shad.
Do you believe he might be onto you?
I don't know what to think, to be honest. I don't
just
know enough about him.
he might have the same ability as Reniel. So when we do meet him, I don't like people reading my mind, and whenever I'm around psychic Pokemon, I just think of my favorite food.
Uh, Dresia says, I've not been reading your mind, by the way.
Oh, okay, because I've just been thinking of orange berries. But that's my point. From what I know, you can just read surface level thoughts and maybe try not to think about what we've been doing or what you don't want him to know. I know that's kind of an oxymoron. Trying to think about something you don't want him to know, it means you're thinking about. You get what I mean.
The trick is to focus on what you do want him to see.
Yeah. But in any case, I wanted to go to the university and perhaps grab that book, because that tree might be an important piece to all this.
Well, it assumes the Litten still doesn't have it.
I mean, it's been a day. They can't possibly still be there.
Alright.
Anyway, let's get going.
Yep, I'll leave you guys to it. And
Mhm.
she begins making her way back. And so you're gonna head back to the university library?
Yeah. And see if the book is still there, or if it's there.
Okay. Alright. So,
If not, we'll need to reserve it through interlibrary loan.
yes, but that requires you to wait 8 to 10 days. And it's 8 to 10 business days too, so
I don't know. I've gotten stuff through interlibrary loan the day I requested it. Anyway.
yeah. Anyways. So you go over, and to expedite things, you are told by the librarian that that book is still being checked out, but the Litten did check out that book. However, it's supposed to be returned by tomorrow. So by tomorrow morning, you should be able to grab it.
Oh, okay.
Why am I not surprised?
Why do they need to read it? Okay, we'll get it tomorrow.
Oh, I love. Rafa, what are you doing?
She's got to read it thoroughly.
For the 10th time.
Look, she has to make sure she didn't miss anything.
Okay. Anyways.
Clearly the 11th time will be different.
Yes, clearly. But anyways, it is now getting close to sunset, so unless there's anything in particular you want to do quick, you imagine Shad's probably had plenty of time to rest, and you could probably go there yourselves now.
Yeah. Yeah, I guess we're gonna go back to the guild then.
Okay, you do so, and as you go back to the guild, Sheik does inform you guys that Chad is there and available for you to speak with. He's at the top floor in the guildmaster's quarters.
And I say to everyone, remember, do not think about the Delvers.
Better idea. Do think about perhaps what happened in the dungeon.
Yeah. I mean, if he brings them up, or just don't think about them.
I'm going to continue trying to think about the dungeon.
All right, and I guess if we have a meeting all set up, we're gonna go up and knock on the door,
Okay.
or be taken there.
You go up, you knock on the door. The door psychically opens for you, and you hear Shad say, "Come in."
Vernal walks in.
Yeah, we all walk in, I
Yeah.
assume.
Okay. Just want to make sure. Alright, you see Shad in there. He looks tired. Definitely has a few injuries on him. But he otherwise nods as you enter and he says, "Hello, everyone. Sorry for this meeting taking as long as it did. Fortunately, things things happen, as you are all well aware. Before we go anywhere else, can you give me your report of what happened in the dungeon? From what I was told from Sheik, it's apparently rather sensitive information."
Um, yeah, Harold will relay the information about having found the like the researchers in there and how we rescued them. Renyl's not inconsequential role in this. He'll talk about the crystals that seem to sap energy from people, and as he's talking, it looks like he's kind of trying to get an idea of Shad's reaction to all of this.
Okay. Give me an insight check then.
Oof. 5.
Yeah, you.
Ouch.
That's. Well, Dice Parser was giveth, Dice Parser taketh away. Yeah,
Dice Parser was nice for the first roll because it's been 3 weeks. Now it's decided to bring back its full fury.
yep. So, yeah, as you're talking, Shad is very, very stone faced. He seems to be listening, but you're not getting much of a reaction out of him.
Okay.
I guess we'll
Oh,
tell him
go
the
ahead.
whole Apollo situation too. The leopard who was taken by someone else, possibly.
Or that we simply missed him.
Yeah.
So, this mystery dungeon was caused by Fleffel, then. Do you know why he was draining Pokemon?
Well, according to him, it is another organization that is doing so.
Another organization? What do you mean?
The Purge.
I see. Did he say why?
Reniel shakes his head.
Well then, we will have to bear this in mind for the future. Since I'm sure you're wondering, the Pokemon who you rescued first, they've all been making swift recoveries, but the Pokemon who were rescued later, they seem to still be unable to access any of their natural abilities. We've done tests and we've tried seeing what they can do, and they appear to be left very weak.
Is it fleeting or is it static?
Sorry, out of character. What do you
Are
mean?
they are they are they are they getting better, or is it just kind of staying the same?
The ones who were left in there the longest, it seems to be staying the same. The ones who were rescued earlier, they seem to be getting their bearings back. The guild members we sent to the Oasis to rescue the civilians there, they've been successful at that themselves, and it's a similar story, only since the Oasis was reached later, a large majority of them have ended up in that sort of situation where they seem to be unable to use their abilities, any moves. They seem to be even unable to use TMs as well, or tune to any sort of magic item.
Harold just has a very grim look on his face. He's kind of staring off into space, processing all of this.
We will obviously do further research, but as it stands now, currently all those Pokemon, well, we can hope that they'll get their abilities back in time, but they don't seem to be, aside from a lack of energy, they don't seem to be sick or anything else. But we're still not 100% certain on what exactly happened to them.
I'll have
Aside,
to see if I'll have to see if they feel any better in the morning.
indeed. But, well, at the very...
I should mention one other thing.
Speak.
Fluffle went on a rant to us, a monologue of sorts. He plans to see the entirety of Lanwell covered in dungeons.
Is he mad?
I don't know. Well, have you heard of creatures called ultra beasts?
I am aware of them, yes, for, he looks tyrannical, certain specific reasons.
Apparently, his objective is to allow ultra beasts to inhabit Lanwell.
I see. Thank you for telling me that. We will have to, I will send out a message to the main guild branches, and we will have to find some sort of counteroffensive against them as soon as we're able.
That's actually why we're here too. Is we wanted to speak to you about Reniel's condition, for this kind of overtook our priorities.
Right. I once again apologize for my absence.
The
I
one who
do.
needs to apologize is Fluffle.
You're not wrong. Okay, so Raniel's condition. I do have an idea that I've gained over the course of my own research and with working with Gadiel. The creature that inhabits Reniel is weak to psychic powers. I believe I can potentially use the full brunt of my psychic powers to essentially destroy the creature. It may be slightly difficult and will need to monitor Reniel's condition, but I should be able to do so and completely destroy the creature, make sure it's no longer inhabiting Reniel's mind or body. Reniel,
There's
I do not think it would like that.
actually,
don't think-
Reniel, I was just about to say, as Shad says that, you feel, not in yourself, but from some outside source, you feel some form of fear inside you.
Well, I don't think we want to do it that way because we've contacted it and it doesn't appear to be malicious.
Are you certain of that?
Well, it's Reniel's choice at the end of the day, but we've made limited contact and I don't know. I just believe there might be another way that we could separate them without having to end it.
It doesn't seem as though it has the ability to separate from them under its own power.
At the very least, it does not seem to want to harm me in any way. But it is certainly afraid that you are considering destroying it.
If you believe that there is another way, then I suppose you may take that route, see what you can find, though my offer will remain on the table for if you decide to go that route instead. Be aware that those creatures are dangerous. Many a Pokemon who was inflicted under it experienced all levels of madness, and it is also responsible for quite a number of the issues with Renio's current state. But if you still choose to attempt to find a more peaceful option, then I cannot disagree with you.
There's also the possibility that destroying it would kill me as well, in which case that would be rather counterproductive.
I'm aware. That's why, if I did go down that route, I would make sure that you are not harmed in the process to the best of my abilities. But that is a risk factor. However, if you wish to somehow separate it through more natural means, then you may attempt to do so. I will not stop you. I'll just keep my offer on the table.
Other than my lack of emotions, it does not seem to have any sort of intent to harm me presently. Therefore, I will allow it to coexist with me until further notice.
Very well done.
Do you think there's any chance you could make contact with it?
Shad frowns for a moment and he says, using all my power, I could potentially do so. Though, as of right now, I am far too weak to even think of doing so. I will need time to rest and recover. Though,
Do you think a night of rest would be sufficient?
no. I'm too strained from what I had to experience down the Lake of Magic.
What did you experience down there?
It is. Normally, the dungeon is not too terribly dangerous. You four as a group could probably have easily gone through it previously, but we're not sure why or how, but something happened, and all the pharaohs there suddenly evolved and became a lot stronger. We're still trying to figure out why, but when I came down there, and after they suddenly transformed like that, I had to basically escape with my life.
Evolved in the conventional sense or in some other sense?
Evolved in the conventional sense, just
I
as you all might evolve. Though I also won't deny, even for evolution, their power was great. We intend on quartering off the Lake of Magic and making sure no one is able to enter it while we conduct a very high level investigation.
Probably for the best.
But beyond that, it will take me a bit. I can attempt to do so sometime in the future, should you wish, though I must admit I am wary of contacting it, especially if it is afraid of me, as you said. It may attempt to reject any attempts I have of contacting it, and if I do contact it, I may be unable to control my desire to attempt to eliminate it, depending on what happens.
Then we will wait till a later time.
Very well. I will tell you if I feel any different after rest and recovery. Do you have anything else to report?
No, we do not.
Very well. Before I forget, he walks over to you and he hands you 228 gold. This is for rescuing the researchers.
Thank you. Harold looks slightly uncomfortable about accepting this.
Raniel takes it without question.
It's 57 each.
In any case, you may all stay here for the night. And if you have any remaining business here, you may also do so as well. But I imagine the Misty Gales would like you to return sometime within the next few days.
Yeah.
That was our plan.
Very well, and I'll leave you to it, though. As of right now, you all are going to have to share a single room. As you can imagine, with all the researchers and civilians who all that happened to, we are nearly boarded up.
That's fine.
Alright. It's getting late, and you all are clearly injured and weary from the dungeon, so I recommend you guys rest.
Thank you.
He nods and goes back to his paperwork and lets you guys leave.
Yeah, I suppose we. Oh, at least I'm heading towards this room.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Rainiel?
Yeah, Rainiel's going too.
Okay. Alright. So, yeah, you all are given the same room. It looks pretty similar to the ones you guys used in the Misty Gales, only since there are 4 of you, it's a bit more cramped, but you do have 4 beds at the very least. Is there anything you want to talk amongst yourselves and discuss?
I'll say, Raniel, I'm a little envious of you.
In what way?
Well, let's just say I don't have the best relationship with my parents, and I know you, right now, probably don't feel anything in regards to it, but it's just, I wish I had that.
I see. I know that having a good relationship with one's parents is not something everyone gets to enjoy. It is certainly something that I would wish you to have had as well.
Mm-hmm. All I'm saying is, despite what you may think and feel, I hope you appreciate it and don't take it for granted.
I think I don't take it for granted. I think you are right. It's somewhere down inside of me. All of this does have meaning to me. The fact that I want revenge on whoever did this to my mother says that.
I tried thinking that way too, but I got scared.
Is this being said aloud that both Harold
Yeah.
and Sergey can?
I would imagine so, yeah.
Yeah.
Sergey actually chimes in over this last bit. You know, during our last experiences in the dungeon, I saw the rage on your face when we encountered Fluffball, and I've had time to think. And previously, in some of our other experiences, it's always been the case of not wanting to kill people, but I can't believe I'm saying this. I think I get where even Runyel's been with there being certain Pokemon that simply, I don't know. Pokemon like Fleffel. Ones of whom you have to wonder if they even need that chance.
Well, the
Yes.
problem is first I refused to do it. Then I wanted nothing but to do it. Now I'm afraid to do it.
Well, I am not afraid to do it. If you want, I can do it for you.
I don't know if we're strong enough to at this point.
What? To take on Fleffel or the simple act of killing?
To take on Fluffball.
And with what we learned, it's not even him.
He's long gone.
I am not
Something
so
else
sure
is
about that.
piloting his body around like a puppet.
I am not so sure about that. I think that deep down inside of him, Fluffwell is still there too.
Maybe you're right, maybe you're not.
There was a part of that conversation that actually made me think something else. And it's a slightly terrifying thought.
What is
That
that?
they're both a combined personality.
I could see that.
We know that the Ultra Beasts need hosts in order to exist outside of the dungeons, and as Fleffel spoke, he mentioned still having bits of himself, but at the same time not.
Well, regardless, it doesn't change the fact that he is far too dangerous to be allowed to live.
I'm going to have to agree. And part of that scares me. uh,
It very much goes against your ideals, does it not?
for the longest time, growing up, I mean, we've never really discussed this, but you know exactly what happened with our little uh, sailing trip. But I don't know how much you really know. How I know Leviathan's greed. Or claw, excuse me.
You are free to share it with us.
It's, well, growing up, I actually used to work with them. It was a life that I was brought into. It is one that, for the longest time, I actually quite enjoyed. It wasn't the same crew that we saw. It wasn't those bloodthirsty cowards, but a crew of what I would consider family. And as it stood for the longest time, I'm trying to remember how to pronounce his name. It was Eifried? Yeah.
Yeah, Eifried.
For the longest time, the captain of the crew, Eifried, he always taught me that the best thing was simply letting people know your stories. That people would learn, and in some cases, letting them live with that fear of what you've done was stronger than simply ending them. But with our experiences on our way there and experiences of late, I have to wonder if that's not true. I have to wonder if Renyel was right in killing the drizzle. Lots of things to wonder.
My ideals still haven't changed. I don't think it's right to do something like that. But I think Leffel was responsible for taking someone important to me away. And
Do you know who he was talking about?
yeah. And I just got angry, and perhaps just being impulsive. Still, nothing would satisfy me more than if that bolt I shot went straight through his head. But another part of me doesn't want to do it, and another part of me is just afraid to do it.
I don't know if killing him would bring you satisfaction,
I know that.
but that doesn't change the fact that he is so unbelievably dangerous. Now it just kind of trails off.
If it came down to it, I don't think I would actually feel remorse. I don't like that I have to say that. But Harold is right. He's simply dangerous enough to be left to whatever his whims. We've heard. And
He's not the only player in this game.
No, he's not.
but he is a very important piece.
He's more like a catalyst.
Presumably, if we could bring a resolution to what is going on between the CILS and the Purge, his plan would not be able to happen. In which case, he would simply stop.
Would he?
No. No, he wouldn't.
I would think he would end up looking for other means of furthering his goals. Other means of turning Lanwell into a dungeon. I think he's so invested that even if we were to solve some symptoms, he would find others.
It's not as though we can just resolve a war that goes back that long.
No, but we can at the very least kill those in charge.
Harold looks uncomfortable yet thoughtful about this. You get the impression maybe he had the same line of thought and just didn't want to say it.
Sergei just looks uncomfortably to the side, but
Yeah.
I'm not sure that would help.
At the very least, it would delay his plans.
Or it might accelerate them. It's hard to say what reaction killing any of their leaders would create.
Would solve nothing. They, as an organization, they'd still thrive. They just put whoever's in second command in the leader role. And were we just gonna go kill them too?
not to
Kill the next
mention,
person?
Yes.
We can't do that.
Why?
Because we can't take up a whole organization with just 4 Pokemon.
not to mention,
Even if we wanted to do that. Even if we decided to do that tomorrow.
it's also more complicated than that.
That's not how it works.
If you kill those in charge, they become martyrs to their organization.
It's like if you kill a king, it's still the kingdom's still alive.
It all feels so just missing where to go from here.
Well, we could start with the crystals.
Mhm. Perhaps we stop in the dungeon on the way back. That seems to be one of our first. I'm not sure.
Harold is going to cast a message at Sergey. Don't talk about that here.
He nods, realizing.
I think the best thing for us to do for now is to head back to Misty Gales. And
Another,
try to regroup from there.
I got to admit to another reason I didn't attack him is because what I said on Tron Fennel, I was laying a perennial of how we might get attacked, him offing anyone who opposes us, and I felt if I had continued attacking Fleffel, he would have turned his ire onto you guys if I had failed to do what I intended to do. And I think I will continue to keep that promise and prevent harm from coming to the party. And that also includes you, Nihilico. I don't know if you can hear me right now, but I was going to protest them destroying you no matter what, because I feel like you may be a victim in all of this too, and maybe you, it's like Reniel said, and you have a friendship with him. I don't know what to call it, but as far as I'm concerned, you're part of the team too, and I will at least try to help you and Reniel at the same time.
You see a tentacle go out on its own, and it seems to acknowledge you before disappearing back in Reniel's mane.
Does that mean yes, Reniel?
I do not know.
Oh, right, yeah. But in any case, I think we should probably go to sleep. I'm still pretty beaten up, and I think I'm missing a tooth.
Good luck growing that back.
And then Reniel lays down.
Sometimes it is better not having them.
Yeah. I guess it's getting pretty late into the night, so I'm just gonna probably settle down and try to go unconscious.
Alright, then I think with that we will end it off.
Yay!
Yay.
Ooh.
I have 28 HP again.
Yes, you have health now. Anyways, next time we will have these guys go back and see where they will go from there. So, see y'all later.